Hi, Kat.
Hey Tiffany, how are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Don't know why I'm pausing like that, but question for you. Were
Okay,
you gonna say
shoot.
something?
No, I'm
Okay.
following your lead here tonight.
All right, sweet. So, what do you think of when you hear bee hotel?
I get like a couple things running through my mind. I think of that bee movie that came out. It was like Seinfeld played one of the
Yes.
bees, I
Yep.
think.
I remember
I
that
think of
one.
them going to like a Four Seasons hotel.
Nice.
And the song I'm a Bee by Will.I.am plays.
Oh,
I'm a
nice.
bee, I'm a bee, yeah. And there might be a little bee Lamborghini or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that bee movie. I feel like that was like the adult version of Bug's Life or something. It was a weird
Yes,
movie.
it was. Yes. I
Yeah.
don't think I ever
Anywho.
watched it all the way through. But anyway, okay, bee hotels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think of.
So, okay, sweet. So fancy pants. All right. So, in reality, bee hotels are they're really just an attempt to create like a small habitat for bees. And a lot of the Save the Bees movement, which we've all probably heard of, focuses on honeybees. But guess what?
What?
Honeybees honeybees are not native to the United States. And Vox points out that they were brought over from Europe centuries ago. But
Colonizers.
oh, that's a good one. But native literally though because they have colonies. Anyway,
Hmm.
but native bees, which might be even better pollinators than honeybees, are in trouble. So they're the ones that are actually like we're trying to save the bees, save the honeybees, but native bees are in trouble. And this might be partly due to how many honeybees there are.
Oh no. Okay.
Yes. And so Vox, I used their article, they said, so perhaps then all this time we've been saving the wrong bees.
Dun dun dun. Oh no.
So, are bee hotels part of the answer, or are they just a big bee washing scam?
Oh, bee washing. Okay.
Yeah, we'll find out. Alrighty. So, that was that.
Bee washing is a great new term, I feel.
Yeah, it's a term created by these two folks who were studying bee hotels.
Oh wow.
I think that's
Okay.
who created it. But yeah, it's like greenwashing, but for bees.
Interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm dismayed. I feel like the Winnie the Pooh inside of me that loves honey and loves honeybees is like crying a little because you're gonna tell me like those yellow jacket wasps that fly around your porch and make sting you every time they make a bed under your they make wasps nest under every single eave and like furniture, and every time you walk close to them they just start stinging you and it's the worst. It's like being electroshocked and like
Oh, stings are
I
horrible.
know they're pollinators. Yes, but I don't like
Well, we'll
them.
we'll get into that a little bit, but
Okay.
yeah, as somebody, I don't think I ever mentioned this on the podcast, but we had a yellow jacket infestation inside our home
Oh my
like
god, my
a,
nightmare. Okay.
5 or 6 months ago,
Oh my god.
and we started noticing like I saw one, and then I saw another one, and then I saw another one, and then I like as soon as I saw like three, I was like, wait a minute, and I sort of went on alert, and I was like, why are there yellow jackets in my house? And then as soon as I started looking, there were like five in our bedroom. And so
Oh
we
my
had to
god.
like vacate the premise. We slept
Yes.
in the sunroom. It was horrible. It was so scary. Really easy to
But
solve. We just
you found the
somebody
nest. Yeah.
Yes, we figured out where it was. Somebody came and sprayed this like foam stuff. I'm sure it's horrible, but we needed to live in our home. So,
Yeah, I'm like, bees, go make it. There's a whole creek up the street. Make a nest in one of
yeah,
those trees.
we
Yeah.
had probably 50 yellow jacket carcasses in our basement. At least. At
Yikes.
least 50, probably more than
Oh my
50. They were
God.
all over like crunching all over the floor. It was
Oh, that's
horrible.
awful.
So
Oh, I'm
anyway,
sorry.
I understand the fear of bees and
Mm-hmm.
the fear of like certain types of bees and wasps and whatnot. Yellow jackets, I think, are extra
They're
aggressive.
vicious, yes. And
Yes.
they can sting multiple times.
Oh, I didn't even know that because then maybe the stinger doesn't fall out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, but I will say wasps in general are not, everybody thinks they're aggressive because they look super aggressive. But generally speaking, I've heard that wasps are like not that.
Yeah, it's just
They're not
yellow
more
jackets.
aggressive. It's just
Right.
like, yeah,
They're just
they're
ugly. They're scary.
yes, and they're not
There's,
fuzzy and
yeah,
pretty.
like mud daubers, which are huge. If you've ever seen a
Mm-hmm.
mud dauber, they
Yeah,
actually eat spiders and they're actually really gentle.
right.
Tarantula hawks, on the other hand,
What
that's
the
the.
hell is it?
Okay. I saw one. Okay, I came home. I was driving back from Albuquerque to Texas in August one night, and I came home and I was getting out of my car. It was dusk, and I just really wanted to get inside the house, and I saw this thing, probably this big, like 3 inches, black with red wings, huge, kind of circling around outside my house, and I knew it was something evil because it looked like the alien
Oh my
from Alien.
God.
So I like tried to move my luggage and get the dog in real quick. There were two, which is weird because apparently I've done the research later. You never see them together. I didn't know what it was. One of them got into my house, and I hit it with a broom, and it went like under my kitchen cabinet. I was like, I've got it. It must have killed it. Okay, so I went to bed, and I was telling this friend of mine
Well,
was
that's brave of you.
well, yeah, I'm an idiot. I told a friend of mine who was building a carport for me. I was
Uh
like,
huh.
I saw this terrifying insect. It was like the alien, and he's like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna bring my wasp swatter. So he has one of those electrified tennis rackets, and
Uh
he brought
huh.
it over. And he was working in my backyard, and I was working in my office, and the thing flew towards my head, sitting in my office, and I screamed and ran outside. And so he came in and he got it, and I have video. I will show you. He got it onto the electrified tennis racket that is a fly swatter thing that kills insects. I have video of it frying on there, and it would not die for like 10 minutes. It was just walking on this thing. And so I finally looked it up. It's called a tarantula hawk.
The fact that
It
it's
is,
called a hawk and it's a bee
yes.
is
Yeah, it's a
horrifying.
wasp. It apparently has the most painful sting of any insect in North America.
And it's
And like
native?
native to New Mexico and Texas.
What?
It's the state insect of New Mexico.
No way.
And yeah, it's this huge dark black wasp, like shiny, glossy, with red wings. Yeah, look it up. And I was reading about it. What they do is, I'm sorry, this is like nature lesson. I was fascinated by them. They're very solitary creatures, but what they do is the female catches a tarantula, they burrow in ground, and they will dig a hole, bury the tarantula. They will sting the tarantula and paralyze it, bury it alive, lay their eggs in it,
Oh, so
and
like
then
parasite?
yeah, when their eggs hatch, it eats the tarantula. So they're like evil, but it's actually where was it Ridley Scott who did Alien? Whoever created the alien
Uh-huh.
got his inspiration for the alien from the tarantula hawk. So I was
No
not
way.
yeah, look it up. I was not incorrect. He said he saw the tarantula hawk and he's like, that's what I want my alien to look like.
That's so interesting. Yeah, this thing is huge. I'm looking at it. It's like
Horrifying.
as big as a tarantula, pretty much.
Oh yeah, because they take out tarantulas. I mean, and they're like I think the description in the article I read about them was if you get stung by it, it takes 10-15 minutes for the sting to dissipate, and it's like fire all over your body. And they said all you can do is lie there and scream.
Oh my God.
I know, and it was in my house. So anyway, that's
And you've never seen another one?
sometimes in the late summers I'll see them around. I think it's been too hot the past 2 or 3
my
summers, but like that was 3 summers ago. So
That's absolutely wild.
yeah, anyway, I do see them around like the park by my house and stuff. I mean, they hunt tarantulas and there aren't many tarantulas in the city that I've seen. So,
Right.
but yeah, they're
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so funny because it's not at all where I want
No,
or like
okay.
expected it. Not that I didn't want it. I didn't expect it to be like we hate bees, but
I love bees. I love honeybees. I
great.
love bumblebees.
just maybe not these hawks.
I don't like tarantula hawks and I don't like yellow jackets. So
Yeah,
that's-
I know. Yellow jackets are pains in the ass.
And tarantula hawks aren't
sure they're great,
pollinators, I'm pretty sure. They eat tarantulas. So they're not
Right.
they're not like going from flower to flower, you know. So
Right,
anyway.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't mean to derail this, but
No. That's fascinating.
I will share the video of that
Please
tarantula
do.
hawk. Oh,
That's
it's awful.
actually,
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, thanks.
I'm so sorry.
I don't want that in my bee hotel, okay? But at least they burrow in the ground, so you wouldn't have a problem with it.
Right. Well, okay. So on that note, who the hell are we? Welcome.
Yes. Welcome to Greening Up My Act, where we tell horror stories about insects throughout the American Southwest.
Oh my God. No, tell us who we are.
Okay, we are 2 marketing writers. I'm Kat, she's Tiffany, and
Drinking some wine.
she's drinking wine tonight, which I'm jealous of. I don't have a bottle opener. I join you.
Sorry.
I was eating dill pickle popcorn. Not the same. But we both of our day jobs are we do marketing content writing. So, but we're both also really interested in individual actions that people can take to create a more sustainable lifestyle. And so we just started kind of researching these things and we wanted to pool our info. And one of the things we discovered was that we have a knack for seeing through marketing lingo because we do it for a living. So we're to try and, illuminate for our friends, family, and other listeners, the green hooey, as we call it, or greenwashing, when a product, service, whatever, system even, we've done recycling, promises to be better for the environment. We analyze what's true versus, the fluff. So we're trying to pass that on to you so that you don't have to spend all the time figuring out that plastic recycling isn't what we all think it is.
Yeah, for example.
Yeah, that was a big eye opener. So
Yes. Yeah, so we're trying to help people spot this green hooey in the wild.
And
help
ourselves. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's one of our things that we're doing also is talking about like when marketing has worked on us. Mm-hmm. Because it does. It does. Instagram, any marketing.
Yeah, totally.
Those Buzzsprout lists of like 50 things on Amazon that have really great reviews. Like sometimes when I'm bored or like can't sleep, I am so prone to those things.
I used to be so into that shit. And I was like, this is going to solve my problems.
Mm-hmm. The fact is, more stuff just causes more problems. But anyway, yeah.
Having a child makes that
abundantly
clear.
And you're sleep deprived. So anything, you're like, anything to help me, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. All right. So that's us. We hope we can help people out. And let me go over my sources real quick.
Yes, please.
So first off, I looked at UC Davis. They had an article on bee washing.
Bee washing. I love it.
Yep.
I also imagine the bees are at the bee hotel and the little bee spa and they do some bee washing. Yes. Get all that pollen off their...
Get their cuticles done.
Yeah, little facial.
Yes. And then there was the scientific journal PLOS. I think it's PLOS one.
PLOS one.
PLOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did a really interesting study on bee hotels, like a multi-year study. So helpful.
Yeah.
Again, the Xerces Society, they're pretty big in the conservation world, I'm realizing, because I see them everywhere now.
Well, and I think
now that I know.
I think also now the algorithm is pointing you towards them.
Maybe, but actually I was at my local nature preserve and I saw a sign that said Xerces Society and I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
Maybe I need to start looking at the Xerces Society because
Yeah,
well, I
maybe.
haven't been doing as many conservation pieces as you have. I've been doing more landscaping stuff. So,
Yeah, they kind of just came up. It's not like I
yeah.
sought them out, so.
Yeah.
But they talk about how we should focus on habitat, not honeybees.
Okay. Good to know.
Controversial.
Mm.
No. Vox, I use their article a lot. It was called Honeybees Are Not in Peril. These bees are. You can kind of see where we're
Okay.
going.
Yeah. Bee washing.
Yeah. I barely use this, but I'm going to include it. The University of Minnesota Extension has an article about wasps. I'm not going to say what because I want it to be a surprise.
Okay. Wasp
Yeah.
surprise.
Wasp
I
surprise.
don't usually like a wasp surprise, as we've surmised. And now it's a Dr. Seuss.
I do not like them, Sam. I am.
Nope. Do not like a wasp surprise. Yeah. I do not like them in my eyes. I do not like them in my home. I do not want them near my phone.
There you go. That's perfect. Oh my god, I can't even think now. Okay, so the last thing I looked at, which I know is 6 sources, we're trying to keep it to 5,
No.
but
How dare you?
I know. I looked at a product, so it wasn't really a
Oh,
source.
okay.
But
That's fair.
yeah, the product I looked at was from this company called Songbird Essentials.
Adorable. Is it their bee hotel?
It was their bee hotel.
It's not the Four
How'd you guess?
Seasons bee hotel that I was hoping for.
How'd you
A little,
guess? Yeah,
a little
not quite.
Ritz.
Not
Okay.
quite. It's pretty sparse, but
That's okay.
maybe the inside is really fancy.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Okay. So, what are we talking about today? As we know, bee hotels. These are also known as nest boxes or trap nests. Trap nest sounds like I don't know, whatever.
I'm trying to
That's
kill
what
them.
they're
It's
called. Yeah,
for the alien that kills tarantulas that you're trying to get rid of.
exactly.
Electrified. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're specifically talking about that bee hotel from Songbird Essentials, and it's found on the website called Nature Niche.
Cute.
It's so, not chintzy.
Kitschy?
Uh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not even trying to insult them. It's just like, it's cutesy. Yeah.
Precious. Yeah.
And it's like everything you can imagine about their logo is what it is.
I imagine flowers and doilies and bees and butterflies.
Bees and butterflies and caterpillars and leaves. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Nature niche.
Yeah. And so I'm not trying to pick on this bee hotel in specifically because there's, honestly, like it's not any different than a lot of them. They just happened to fit the bill and they came up first in my search. So besides one
Got
on
it. Mm-hmm.
like there were a bunch on Amazon.
Yeah,
I was like, no,
I'm
I want
sure.
to find one that's like a little bit better. So they look like a tall birdhouse. And they usually have holes either drilled into the front or they have bamboo tubes stacked horizontally like little hotel rooms. But okay, so that's what we're talking about. Before we get into that, I need to cover honeybees versus native bees.
Yes, because this is where I'm confused or concerned about my knowledge.
Yes, because this is so important and it doesn't even necessarily relate to bee hotels. It does actually, but I just needed to cover this because was the most interesting thing I found during my research, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know any of this. So I had heard that honeybees are not native. That was like the only thing I knew before. But okay, follow the money. This is so interesting. I know.
Follow the money.
I know. Okay. Honeybees are worker bees. They pollinate $15 billion worth of crops every year in the US.
Oh my God. Okay.
We raise honeybees for that specific purpose. And that is almost a third of our entire food system that these bees are
Jeez.
pollinating.
Okay.
They
Okay.
pollinate things like almonds, zucchini. They don't pollinate everything, but there's so many things that are supported by these bees. So the public understanding of the bee decline focuses on these non-native honeybees rather than wild bees. I don't even think most people know there's a difference.
I didn't know.
I didn't
I
know.
mean, I knew that there were farmed bees.
Right.
My grandfather had bees, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize that they. Of course, they're not native. That makes perfect sense. They're just like cows. Cows aren't native.
Right. Exactly. And I had heard
Interesting.
about like the Italian breed, I guess, of honeybees, but I didn't ever put two and two together that, oh, wait, that means they're not from here. So
Yeah.
Vox says that the European honeybees have a whole industry working to sustain them. So they treat sick colonies. There's that whole like collapse that was happening a couple of years ago that was
Right.
really scary. All over the news, they have this industry that will treat them and that will fix the problem.
Farms.
Where,
Right.
yes, whereas wild bees do not. Turns out honeybees are not at risk anymore. They're up over 80% in the last
Oh my God.
half of the century.
Where did that news article go? I mean, okay, no one told me that.
Yep, I know, but native bees are. So the Xerces Society says that 28% of bumblebee species in North America are considered threatened.
28%?
28%, yeah,
Jeez.
of
Yeah,
the
of all
different,
the species across North America.
yeah, specifically bumblebees.
Okay.
But yeah, but a bumblebee
Just
is like a native
native. Oh, okay.
type of bee. Yeah,
It's a cute fuzzy bumblebee.
I know.
How many
Yeah, so
are you gonna go into how many species of bees there are?
I'm not going to go into how many, but I have some fun examples of wild
Oh,
bees
okay. Okay.
coming up right this second.
Yay.
So for example, they're interesting because they can either look like gnats, like be extremely small, or they can be up to like longer than an inch big. So they vary in size, they vary in color, they vary in all of these things in shape. Sweat bees you might know of. Those are
Sweat bees.
small and they actually do like lick the sweat off of you. They can sting. I've been stung by them before, but that's only if you like mess with them.
Huh.
Bumblebees are native bees, squash bees, which pollinate squash plants. Some of the other amazing names I found were one was a spine-shouldered cellophane bee.
I want to see a picture of this thing. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I should post them.
Yeah.
And then there's also a hairy-banded mining bee. I was like,
I
these
think
are amazing.
I've dated one of those, I think. Maybe. Hairy banded mining guy.
Probably.
It's a category on Tinder. With acceptable foaming behavior. What was it?
Right, exactly.
From hand washing from season 1? Yes.
Right. I'm trying to think of what else we had. Yes, foaming
Yeah.
behavior. Gross. So the interesting thing about native bees is that they can sort of perform what's called buzz pollination. So they vibrate their bodies and they shake the
Ooh.
pollen free.
Oh, yes.
And
Okay.
yeah, you've probably maybe you've seen it, but some foods like tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers require this to be pollinated, and honeybees can't do this.
Oh, they just walk from flower to flower. Okay.
I
Right.
think so.
Okay.
And another funny thing, which I kind of loved because it's like this sort of like European versus like not Native American, but like a Native American
Native to
bee.
America. Yeah.
Native to America. Um, they like the honeybees are very sort of clean. They
Mm-hmm.
they take the pollen and they put it in like a big ball. You've probably seen this. They
Yeah.
have big balls sticking to them. Wild bees are messy. Apparently, they're
Yeah.
just kind of like in and out, like shaking stuff around and stuff falling off. But apparently, that makes them better
That
pollinators.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So these bees are extremely important, but nobody even knows that they exist. That's the crazy thing.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. So,
Not only, yeah, go ahead.
well, I was going to ask what makes a bee a bee. Like, why are they bees and not just other kinds of insects? Is it because they do pollen? Because honeybees obviously make honey. Do all bees make honey, or do all bees live in colonies? Or, like, what's the difference? Because I know bees and ants are very similar.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know all of those answers, but I do
Okay.
know that not all bees make honey specifically, but I think I think I read bumblebees will make sort of a sticky substance, but it's not the same.
Okay.
So no, you're not going to be able to. Well, and that's another reason why we're harvesting these bees is we can, or like
Yeah.
why we're raising
Wait,
these bees is we can.
right.
It
They
creates
do something
honey,
for
and
us. Yeah.
yeah, and other bees can't do that. So
What did I saw somebody sent me a meme the other day. It was like, honey is the best insect vomit we've discovered so far. Like, who knows? Who knows? Maybe
you know how
someday.
many others have we looked into really?
It's true. Like, we might start really being into gnats eventually when we find that they vomit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
Omega
it's a
3s.
miracle.
Yeah.
Miracle spit.
The miracle cure. Start farming gnats. Anyway, okay. I just thought that was fun.
Yeah. So another thing is that honeybees aren't very picky about which plants they pollinate.
Okay.
Whereas wild bees are
Okay.
a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of wild bees have one or two types of flower that they will eat. And they can't just go from plant to plant to plant to plant to plant and eat whatever they feel like.
Interesting.
And there's evidence that honeybees might be out competing wild bees.
Invasive species. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're technically considered invasive, but there is it's not proven, but there's like evidence of it that they might. Well, one thing I read was native bees may have to travel further to forage and ultimately gather less food for their young. So this is their.
Oh.
If you think about it, like we think of it, we don't think about it as food, but it is
Right.
their food. So if they
Yeah.
can't find a food source, they're not going to survive.
That makes sense. Okay.
Um, and this is definitely true of my pollinator garden. So I planted a pollinator garden in my front yard and I had a crazy cool goldenrod.
Ooh.
My neighbor has honeybees. I didn't look super closely, but I will this year. But it was like honeybee city. Just those honeybees were all over my
Like,
goldenrod.
look
And
how close this is. Yeah.
yeah, look how easy. And I'm kind of like, did I just plant all this shit to feed your bees? I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, so I mean, they devoured it. So I don't know. That was just sort of a, personal
Wow.
anecdote. But I was like,
Yeah. I
could
mean, it makes
be.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I am going to now talk about what eco-friendly claims bee hotels are making. But first, I think we should take a little break.
I'm game. Let's do it.
Okay. All righty.
Welcome
So,
back.
yeah, welcome back. Um, there are two main eco-friendly claims that bee hotel manufacturers are making and sort of proponents of bee hotels because um, they're a really popular item in the Save the Bees movement. A lot of people push
Yeah.
for having bee hotels. They're
I,
all over
I can see
the
it.
my local reservoir, not
Yeah, I've
reservoir,
got
but
a whole bunch of I know I've seen a bunch of bee hotels like in our community garden up the street
Mhm.
and they're all over the place for sure.
Yeah. Um, so the first claim they're making, well, one of two claims. So one is that they provide bee habitat, and the second is that they improve the health of plants. We've kind of talked about that already, but I'll get into it a little bit more. Um, so the first one, they provide bee habitats. So many of these bee hotels aren't specifying what kinds of bees.
I was going to say, yeah, carpenter
Yes.
bees versus right
Which, hey,
because
carpenter bees,
yeah, they
I
have a
mean,
place.
yeah. But so the bee hotel on Nature Niche actually does talk about native bees, but that was kind of rare. So I looked at a bunch of other ones, and a lot of them had like their marketing was all about the honeybee because it's cute. You can
Right. Well,
pull a
and it
little
gives
icon. You're not gonna have
Yeah.
like a tarantula hawk on
Yeah.
your
Yeah. Yeah.
logo, you know?
It's not the alien.
So
Yeah. Like bring
you
this into your
could
yard. Woohoo. For fun.
attract this, give this a home.
Hmm.
Um, and the threat, so, okay, so they're talking about how they provide bee habitat. The fact, the truth is that we need more bee habitat. Like, that's not a lie. So, um, destruction of natural habitats like grasslands is a huge problem for bees.
Yeah.
And Iowa and Illinois, for example, have both lost 99% of their native grasslands.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
99%.
Those are not
And
small
that's just
states
two
either.
states.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just two examples. Who knows about the rest of it?
Wow.
Also, pesticides like neonicotinoids are, first off, banned in Europe but legal in most of the US, which is annoying. Are also a
Happens
major
a lot.
issue for bees.
Hmm.
Yes. But bee hotels in particular, UC Davis says they often don't work and may do even more harm than good.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So why not? Why don't they work? So a few reasons. Number one, most bees nest in the ground or in abandoned beetle galleries in trees, which is just beetles carve out.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just like carve out little home. You've probably seen it on like
Yeah.
logs or whatever. They make really pretty carvings. They might nest in those. But also most bees, number two, most bees don't live in hives or large groups.
Okay.
They're hermits.
Yeah. Like the tarantula hawk, right? Yeah. They're solo
Yes.
creatures. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Because they don't have a
yeah.
queen set up. Right.
Yep.
The hive is
Most
not.
don't have queens. Most are not like honeybees at all.
Wow.
And these bee hotels, first off, are off the ground. So they're, usually up in a tree or they're on a stick or something, but they're not on the ground. And they're set up for a lot of bees in one spot.
Okay.
The third reason that these don't work great is that they're possibly making the bees in them more susceptible to parasites and disease. Possibly.
Okay.
This isn't for sure, but it's possible. So, on to the PLOS One study that they studied 200 bee hotels in the Toronto area for like over 2 years.
Okay.
So it was like pretty
That's
intense
pretty
study.
substantial. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like 6 bee hotels in my backyard over a
Yes,
weekend.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the takeaway from them, the overarching takeaway was that there's no proof that bee hotels have a positive effect.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to know more numbers, but okay.
Yeah. So, well, here
Like,
you
how do you
go.
quantify that? Okay, good. Please quantify for me.
Yes. So it's interesting to me, and this is a little bit of a conundrum for me. So native wasps occupied almost 3/4 of all bee hotels each year.
Okay, I think that
Apparently,
makes
wasps are less picky about where
yeah.
they nest.
They're definitely creatures of
Oh yeah, they love my
opportunity.
eaves.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
they'll
Anywhere.
they'll anywhere. Yeah.
They went in my freaking deck railing,
Mm-hmm.
made a
Yep.
whole nest, didn't know it, opened the door. My daughter got stung 3 times. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. You're like thanks. Yeah. They're under a chair. I had a friggin' deck chair, and I was
Yeah.
going to water a plant, and they came after me, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like they're not aggressive unless you like piss them off, but you just sometimes don't see them.
Yeah. If
So
you approach them, you piss them off.
you're
They're like, get out of
um,
here.
right. This is our house.
Mm-hmm.
So plus introduced wasps were the only group to significantly increase in relative abundance year over year. So they
Okay.
had introduced bees, introduced wasps, native bees, native wasps in all of these in this study. And the introduced wasps were the only ones that actually grew in size.
Okay. Okay.
And the parasitism of bees, which is where they're basically other creatures parasite onto what I don't know how to say that, but you know what I mean. become parasited. Anyway,
When a parasite attacks a bee, you're saying?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Um, it increased for the bees using the nests as their size of the nest groups increased.
I wonder if that's because the parasites were attracted to the nest, like
Yeah,
because there were bees there.
it could be. It could be.
I wonder if that just happens anytime a nest grows, like parasites
It could
appear.
be. And these are also very much out in the open. I mean, if you think about it, if they're usually in the ground or in trees,
Right.
then they're probably more protected.
Yeah,
Um,
this is basically like shining a bright light up into the air, saying like, "Look at our bee city that you can come and."
yeah, exactly. But they did say more research is needed to find the pros and the cons of bee hotels to help conserve and repopulate wild native bees because that's, that should be the ultimate goal is the wild native bees, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily helping. So, number 2, claim improve the health of plants. We kind of already talked about this. The idea is that more bees means more pollination. Um, you know, unfortunately with bee hotels, maybe not unfortunately, you're mostly supporting wasps.
Okay.
However, this is a wasp secret.
Here comes the super sneaky wasp secret. Okay. The wasp surprise, as we call
The
it.
wasp surprise, that's what it is. Wasps are also pollinators.
Okay. Yes.
So they're just considered passive pollinators. Can you think
Okay.
of can you think of why?
Why would a
I
wasp
thought
be a
this was
passive
so
pollinator? No, I
interesting.
can't. I mean, I could sit here and figure it out probably, but tell
Yeah.
me.
Wasps are not fuzzy.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
So that's why they're passive. It's because the fuzziness is what makes you drag
It
pollen from plant to plant.
yes. It makes it like easy to grab. Isn't that crazy?
That's so funny.
So I guess that's
Okay.
the difference between wasps and bees. Bees are fuzzy. You asked that in the beginning. I do know that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So I looked it up while we were sitting here, just real
Yeah.
quick. The definition of a bee is a fuzzy creature that eats plants or nectar.
Okay.
Or not plants, eats pollen or nectar.
Okay.
And may or may not create a sticky substance like honey. But
Yeah.
that's what it is, that they're fuzzy and winged, I think. Yeah, they're
Well,
winged.
yeah.
Let me read this. Any of numerous insects that feed on pollen and nectar and sometimes produce honey differ from wasps, especially in the heavier, hairier body and in having sucking as well as chewing mouth parts.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
makes
that's,
sense.
yeah. So interesting. I've never
Yeah.
thought of like, okay, how many species of bees are there out there? And that they're cute and they're fuzzy, and that's what bees are great for.
Yeah. And they're not all cute, but
No. I mean, they're fuzzy,
they
though.
might be fuzzy. Yeah. No, but isn't that so funny? I was like, I don't know why that just tickled me so much.
Yeah.
Um, so PLOS 1 says
Mhm.
to ensure that bee washing is minimized, more research must be performed on the design and the effectiveness of bee hotels.
Okay.
A few things are important for a proper bee hotel. This is from UC Davis. And I wanted to know if the one that I looked at had these things. 5 things. 1, a shaded entrance. No, the one I looked at does not. The
Interesting. Why
one
did they
from
say why?
Bird Essentials. I'm sure they did. I just don't remember. I know that's a big thing in hives too. I think it's
It
like
may be so that
a
they can
heat
see something coming
thing.
in or something, or
Yeah, I want to say it's like a temperature thing, but I'm not totally sure. They
okay.
like they don't love a lot of sun. I do know that.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want in the heat of Texas, I don't want the sun shining directly in my door either. So
Yeah, exactly.
okay, so no shaded entrance.
Yeah, so it does not have that. It should have variation in sizes of holes. Number
Okay.
2.
Mm-hmm.
This one does. Check.
Okay.
Number 3, it should be made of wood. Those typically seem to work better. This one does. Check.
Okay.
It's made
Okay.
of wood.
2 out of 3 so far.
Yep. Number 4, you should have the ability to replace the tubes
Okay.
because Otherwise, they can get bacteria and can pass that, pass disease around and all this stuff.
Okay.
This one, you can do that. You can replace
Okay.
the tubes and you can order replacement tubes.
Okay.
Great. And the fifth one is that they're not open in the back.
Okay.
So they have a closed back. And I don't remember why, but apparently this is important. I think it's because bees naturally aren't going to like live in somewhere that feels open.
Yeah,
So
I mean that
it's
would
just
make
not gonna
sense.
be effective.
It's like a cave versus a tube.
Yeah. So this one does have that. Check.
Okay. Okay.
So 4 out of 5, not too bad.
No. You could create a
Um,
shady entrance for it, I guess.
Exactly. Burlap is what she recommended.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so it's not too bad as far as like potential to it, but so next thing we look at is this something a normal person could afford?
Right.
These cost $35.
Okay. And how many do you need? I mean, just one.
Well, I mean, I guess the ideal is like 1 million, but
A whole house covered in bee hotels.
just who cares about siding? Just bee hotels.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. The wasps. Could you imagine?
Oh my god.
Put it in the
fun.
far corner of your yard. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are also DIY options that are probably cheaper. I didn't really look too much into that because I looked so much into the bees versus the honeybees.
You were doing yeah, biological
Yeah.
research. Yeah.
Yes. But so $35, not the cheapest thing ever.
No.
And we'll get into what else you can do that's actually way better.
Better. I can
Yeah.
I can see what's coming.
Yes, you can. So last thing we ask is, does the earth-friendly message need to come back to Earth? And I would say yes, absolutely, because it's usually a very simplistic save the bees rhetoric, which doesn't have context, and I think most of us would never. I don't
No.
think most of us know.
No,
that there's a
absolutely not.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely like. I have friends who post on Facebook about like, oh, it's bee saving season. Put out. Bees need water, and it's hard for them to get water in the early spring. So like, leave a dish with a little bit of apple and water in it, so the bees can sit on the apple and drink the water. And I'm like, yo, that's for honeybees. Like, they're not. That's not for like all the bees. It's just for the honeybees. Yeah.
You don't think that other
Well, I
bees
think
would
it could
use
be for other bees, but
Yeah.
the picture they use is honeybees. It's not
Right.
like
And
we don't
I
think
will
of
say,
other bees. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the thing. Like I will say, like I said, my neighbor has bees, honeybees, and we thought we had a swarm the other day because I have this like outdoor pot that was full of water.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there were so many freaking bees there, and we thought that they swarmed, and we actually called my brother-in-law because he also has bees, and we're like, what do we do about this swarm? And it turns out they were just drinking the water.
Yeah.
But
They're
it was
thirsty.
all honeybees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
was
and they probably
really
scare off other
interesting.
bees, I would assume.
I don't know. I have no clue.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I found that really interesting. So yeah, it needs to come back to Earth quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah.
And actually, rather than whether or not to get a bee hotel or even roasting these bee hotels for bee washing, we need to think more critically about whether or not we should have honeybees in our backyard. And Vox says no. They say what you definitely shouldn't do, experts say, is buy a honeybee colony. That's definitely not helping. And instead, people should think about making native bees want to come to them.
Okay.
So they say like plant flowers that they like,
Yeah.
native flowers specifically, and a variety of them. Leave the leaves, which is funny because
What? So we just talked about that.
talked
Yeah.
about that. And the Xerces Society says that such habitat can be situated anywhere in backyards, on balconies and porches, on rooftops, in office landscapes, in local parks, and community gardens. So you don't need a lot of space to grow flowers that native bees will like. But it's really interesting because it's like even more of a reason to plant like a native flower garden.
Yeah, I think that's what we keep coming back to. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about like most clover is invasive, right? Not all clover. So we keep coming back to like, you don't want a lawn because that's a monoculture. And like all of the things that we do to maintain lawns are bad for native bees.
At least not only lawn.
Right. You want a mix. Probably a wildflower lawn is your best option.
Right.
Like for native. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But we did talk about how much work it is to get there, so.
Yes, it takes time.
Certainly not the easiest thing in the world.
Right. But you can do container pots to get.
Yeah, and you can take it slow. That's what I've been thinking. Like, I would say don't get overwhelmed. Don't overwhelm yourself because it's so easy, as we've said.
Yeah, make it a $100 once a year project rather than a $20,000 right now project.
Yes, exactly.
Or yeah, if you live in an apartment, just have a pot of flowers on your windowsill outside. You know, maybe not bees inside, but have a little planter. You know.
Yeah, totally. Which makes me so happy because I've been so enjoying flowers. So.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I love it so much. Okay, so lastly, we give a granola rating to our whatever we look at. So that means we look at like how crunchy are their claims really, and how feasible or realistic it is for like a normal person to do.
Right, and crunchy meaning real green, like
yes,
legit.
Yes, and
not like we could tear it apart.
Not falsely advertised as like sustainable.
Right.
So number one is soggy, 2 is mushy, 3 is chewy, 4 is crunchy, 5 is break your tooth off, which is, you want that, folks.
The best granola you could possibly have is break your tooth off. Yeah.
Just rocks. So I rated this mushy, which is 2 out of 5.
Okay.
So I rated B Hotels 2 out of 5.
I think that is a totally fair rating, given all that you've told me about. It's total green. It's not total green hooey, but it's vastly more green hooey than other solutions.
More than I would have ever expected.
I know. I'm shocked, actually.
It's like all this shit it's so funny. It's like been the opposite season, like opposite day in this season, where the stuff I'm thinking, oh, that's probably junk, like the biodegradable pots.
Yeah. It's actually great.
Are actually fun. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really interesting. So that's my take on it.
Okay. So don't do it. Plant. I mean, we keep coming back to it. Plant native flowers. Mm-hmm. Grow that wildflower garden. I love it. Okay. Wow. Thank you. I feel eye-opened.
Oh, good.
I am now gonna. Yes, I feel eye-opened. Is that a sentence?
It's good.
I really didn't have enough caffeine today. I want to go look up native bee species here and what kind of flowers they like.
Right?
And
I know.
not plant for honeybees. Because I thought that's what we wanted to do, and it did not occur to me. Honeybees have farms looking out for them. We don't need those.
Yes. And my honeybees near me have my plants looking out for them.
Your honeybees
Goldenrod was a mistake. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Did the deer love it? Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't, thank God. But I'm curious to see if there are plants that like honeybees don't really like, because it kind of sounded like they'll eat most of anything. But
interesting. Well, it sounds like there's a bee adapted to almost every flower out there.
Yes. Yep. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Nature is amazing.
Evolution makes perfect sense. Like what? We're like, no, there should only be one bee.
Yeah. And it's the honeybee.
It's the domesticated honeybee. Wow. Okay. I am fascinated. So thank you. That was really great.
Right. I was really excited for that one because I was like, what? Totally blown away.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. So what should we ask people to do?
I think you should follow us on Instagram. We're at Greening Up My Act. Thank you for listening tonight. And don't forget to tune in next week. We are doing... what am I doing next week? Oh. What am I doing next week? I just haven't.
I'll pause it.
Oh, no. Rain barrels. Oh, not rain barrels. Xeriscaping. Yeah, xeriscaping. I'm doing xeriscaping. So, yes, it'll be fun. But yeah, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe if you're listening to us on YouTube, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Bye.